What if the most soul-stirring R&B debut of the 2000s was one that you didn't fully appreciate? Until now, I'm talking Tweet Southern Hummingbird. If you know, you know. If you don't, let's talk about it. What's going on, y'all? My name is Lighthouse, and you're now tuned into another episode of Everything for Everybody. And today we'll be discussing Tweet Southern Hummingbird, a personal favorite of mine. Tweet Southern Hummingbird wasn't just an album, it was an emotional blueprint for women navigating love, heartbreak, and self-discovery in real time. Released in April 2002, just as the mainstream leaned hard into escapism and feel-good bops, Tweet delivered something far more vulnerable. Truth. At first glance, she was overshadowed by the commercial powerhouse that was Ashanti, but Southern Hummingbird wasn't trying to compete with chart dominance. It was busy building legacy, and for those of us who gave it a full listen, it became sacred. This was R&B for the grown folks, the daydreamers, the emotionally weathered. It was one of those albums that hit differently once you lived a little bit. At the time of its release, I hadn't lived enough to really understand the depth and suffering she had overcame to create this album. But listening retrospectively, it's a poignant offering to self-rediscovery and empowerment. Tweet came into this industry bruised but not broken. Before she was Missy's protege, she was just a woman on the verge, surviving heartache, a failed girl group, and even suicidal thoughts. That personal pain was poured into this debut, and what emerged was a record steeped in soul and layered in bluesy honesty. From the hazy, self-soothing narrative of smoking cigarettes to the bruised confessionals in Drunk, Tweet paints coping mechanisms with melodic grace. These aren't just songs, they're diary entries you hum to late at night. Then there's Oops, Oh My, a Timberland lace anthem of self-love interpreted by many as a subtle ode to female pleasure, and one of the most daringly honest tracks to slip into club rotation. But it's not all melancholy and mood lighting. Boogie Tonight and Make Your Move lift the energy with bounce and optimism, showing that Tweet could still groove through the pain. And then she flexes a little confidence on Always Will, and she does so with elegance, reminding her lover that no matter the distance, he'll always feel her imprint. What set Southern Hummingbird apart wasn't just Tweet's crystalline voice or the production muscle from Missy and Timberland, it was how front and center Tweet remained. Her acoustic guitar, her lyrics, her spirit. She didn't hide behind the beat, she embodied it. Tracks like Motel and Heaven pull no punches. The former is a cinematic scene of betrayal and emotional restraint. The latter, a funk-tinged farewell to toxicity. It's Tweet reclaiming her power, not with rage, but with quiet clarity. And in that stillness, her strength is unmistakable. For many, myself included, this album wasn't just background music, it was formational. Southern Hummingbird dropped during my freshman year in undergrad, at a time when R&B was still finding its next soul-bearing torchbearer. For me, this album is very sentimental. It soundtracked dorm room conversations, touchy-feely nights, and personal awakenings I didn't even have the language for yet. Back then, it was just slow enough music to make love to. Years later, the beauty of this album is how well it's aged. The warmth of Heaven, the slow burn of Smoking Cigarettes, the acoustic honesty of Beautiful, they all still land. Maybe even harder now since I've lived some life and I kind of understand what it is for someone to bare their soul and share all of that pain and, do it so masterfully. I get it. So if you missed this when it dropped or only remember the radio singles, do yourself a favor, revisit Southern Hummingbird. It's not just an album, it's an emotional rite of passage. I really appreciate this joint, and I'm sure you guys like it as well. So if you're into Tweet's music and you've been a fan for a long time and this album meant something to you, leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about this album. What's your favorite moments on this album, And I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Everything Ain't For Everybody. I'll see y'all later. Peace.